It's started. Recording has started. Okay, recording has started. So I will start again. 1 minute. Okay, good day all, and good afternoon, good evening to all of us, to our audiences. Today we have our guest on Captain Puneet Malhotra'S show, that is the Rendezvous with a legend and maritime facilitator for his selfless contribution to the industry, none other than Captain Gajanan Karanjikar. He has been, credited with so much of credibility and credentials, and with his accolades, which goes down the rung, and it is like it is sort of so exhaustive. Though, therefore, we will initially talk about his the main things, of course, which I've jotted down as per his accolades, and we'll talk about it. And thereafter, we will definitely be asking him some questions. How has he been persevering through the industry? As far as his agendas, which he has been, in fact, I think he had been a pioneer to march along all the way by himself. And he has been now creating a lot of followership as far as his agenda and lots of things which he has been doing. Captain Gajanan, sir, welcome to you on our show. It has been an honor to have you on board with us, sir.
Thank you very much, Captain Puneet Malhotra. I'm really grateful to you of what you are doing. I mean, introducing a kind of career path to the youngsters. I mean, I had this in my mind about 3-4 years back. And what main thing lacks in our industry is we lack that inspirational pathway for the youngsters. And I'm very happy to join your show. In fact, honored to be here because I've seen couple of eminent personalities that you have so far interviewed on this show, and I'm really grateful. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Hats off to you for giving us some recognition. We are just taking baby steps towards the journalism to bring the personality, persona like you in the limelight. Let's see how it goes. But once again, thank you, Captain Gajanan, to come on a platform. Now we talk about Captain Gajanan Saab. He's a maritime G20 consultant, an authorized flag inspector, a certified class surveyor for ICS Chartered, business owner for Cordelia Marine Services, a certified marine surveyor, that is ACMS, and marine warranty surveyor. Qualifications are the president of All India Maritime Pilots Association, where he has been, creating under the infrastructure of as for training of the pilots and lots of things which we'll talk about it. Let it come from the horse's mouth. Furthermore, another accolade for which he has been awarded is he's been the director of CMMI, that is the Company of Master Mariners of India. And he has also been a speaker at various podiums where he has delivered lots of very thoughtful sessions, which have been, overwhelmingly, they have been so much appreciated all the way in our industry, that is the maritime industry. As far as his sailing experience is concerned, in total, he had been sailing for last 17 odd years. And as master, he had sailed for 6 years on bulk carriers and tankers, and represented the industry in the various seminars, webinars, online lectures, knowledge sessions conducted, competitive, scenarios, which we spoke about few minutes earlier. So, Captain Gajanan, sir, again, I welcome you on our show. So, let's talk about the journey you have been there through for so many years, right from the time you had probably hung your boots as a sailing master. What had been, your goals or challenges you had come across throughout your journey, and you have achieved the fruitful results with flying colors, with a plausible outcome. So, what's your take on it, Captain Gajanan Saab?
Again, thank you very much for inviting me, Captain Puneet, and I really wish you all the best ahead for this show, and I hope this creates lot of career paths for the youngsters to follow. I mean, coming from a low middle class family, and I studied a vernacular medium, I was a pretty kind of a normal person. I mean, I'm still a normal person, not a legend at all, as you call me. But maritime job or joining a ship was a dream come true kind of scenario. I rose up to the ranks. I was in Chogule steamships earlier, assigned my cadetship with them. And of course, in 10 years' time, I became master. Probably I was a master at the age of 29. And thereafter, I stayed for 5, 6 years because of some, as we always have that, some financial commitments here and there. So I had to sail for 5, 6 years. I came ashore in 2005 as a dry dock superintendent, handling somebody's dry dock. And this is how my step ashore came into being. The challenges that I faced initially was, during our time, I mean, at least in my time, nowadays it's plenty available, but now during my time, there was no career guidance available as to one should do, what one should not do. You got to go into something and find out if you like it or not. So I was there in China for 3 years initially. To start with, then I was in Singapore for 7 years. I was in a company called Mercator Line Singapore Limited. It's a stock listed company, fastest growing then. We had 18 bulk carriers under us, and of course 4, 5 tankers. So I used to head when I retired from there. I mean, when I came back from Singapore, I was the head of dry docks. So that kind of a recognition in company and outside company gave me a feeling that I must walk a path which is not traveled much by master mariners. Unheard of having a master mariner at dry dock head. Normally, these positions are held by engineers. But my quest to become, and to lead things had made me there. And when I was master also on ship, I used to spend a lot of time in engine room just to know as to other half of the ship. Even on the navigation side and deck, like your back of your hand. But engine side, we all lack a lot of knowledge in practical because you're not work with the hands-on with the spanners. So when I was a master, as a master, nobody can stop you going to engine room. So I used to, frequent engine room visits, and I used to be there for 5 hours a day. This is how I learned my engineering kind of a technical knowledge, whichever little bit I have. And this is how I came into the, position of being a dry dock superintendent, managing dry docks. This also gave me another edge of things that, the resources. I mean, everybody, I always say your net worth is about your network. So more network you have, more net worth you are. So it's not about money, it's about resources you collect. So I used to be in China almost 6, 7 times a year, dry docking vessels and talking to people. I used to make it sure that I go meet social leaders in China, I meet their bosses, I socialize with them in their social events. So I have loads of contacts in China, Korea, Japan. And I'm really thankful to all of those my friends who are still in touch with me and they are still ready to help me. It's only me not asking them any help professionally as such because I don't know why, but I am by nature a person who wants to give than want to take. I'm sure I had to do this setting up my own business about 10 years back. I would have been a really big setup of business in Dubai or anywhere. But I didn't do that because I was always in the habit of giving. Probably because of being a teacher's son. My father was a teacher and mother was a teacher too. So I always had that mentality of or this thing of giving. And it's 2015 when I came back to India, I realized that I'd done about 10, 12 years in show management in shipping, and it was all going on a highway kind of thing. So it is the same thing again every year you do. So I wanted to step out of shipping and do something else. So applied to a company called Sikar Logistics, South India Corporation Agencies Limited. It's a very big company in South India where they're about
Okay.
70, 80
Okay.
years old, owned by Muthayyas. And when I joined, the company was owned by Cafe Coffee Day. And I joined them with a sheer, idea to lead logistics and to lead the multimodal transport end-to-end, transport solutions and all that. That's a different part of altogether, world of logistics. Shipping is just one part of it. Of course, I was there for 4.5 years and I learned a lot of things there. But that is the time I realized I got into a Chennai circles of maritime, kind of people, maritime crowd. And I realized how fragmented we are, how a silo principle working of our leadership in maritime is. Bombay was far apart from Chennai. I mean, I realized that there is some kind of a collaborative efforts required in the industry to bring all of them together and things like that. My brain started working. Being a social animal, being a person who wants to be always surrounded people and talk to people and all that. So I got on with the efforts very fast. And one of the first efforts which came in 2018 was forming Association of Pilots. It was formed on a very sad note of falling of a Captain VP Gupta in Bombay,
Okay.
one of the old
Oh,
pilots. And
okay.
but I realized that there's so much of to be done about pilots, in this scenario. So Captain, I mean, Mr. Bhatia was the chairman of Mumbai Port then, Sanjay Bhatia, and
Mm-hmm.
I met him on a couple of occasions, expressed my desire to him. He was a mentor to start AMPA with, and it was a really great experience for me, and connecting with the community which we have been together as a bridge team, but not being able to do anything for them, and the pilotation pilot is so ignored task and the personality people persons that so then I got on with the embark on a journey of social kind of thing, and then as you get inside, you dive deep in, you will understand, you will know a lot of things, which lack, kind of efforts in maritime world. Somehow I came to a conclusion that I was not happy with the maritime leadership, which was leading the maritime, kind of community in Mumbai, in Delhi, in Chennai, in Calcutta, in Kochi, all these places, because I mean, when I started talking to people, I realized the same people for last 10, 15 years, holding on to the chairs and moving around, and they're not able to do anything much. There was no youngster like
Stagnated
me
sort
was
of thing.
coming.
Stagnated affair.
Yeah,
A sta-
absolutely. I mean,
right, right.
so
Okay.
there was no
Huh.
youngster like me was coming on the forefront
No
also.
fresh blood. Okay.
Yeah, so I said, let me jump in this scenario and see what I can do. But I mean, getting inside somewhere also is is a lot of you know
So my
you
next
know
question is, subjectively, as what we have been talking about, how have you been facilitating in the training, creation of the infrastructure, being the president of All India Maritime Pilots Association? Would you like to, tell our viewers about that, sir?
sure. I mean, absolutely, it's a very passionate work to start with. When we started AMPA, I saw a lowest hanging fruit was their own safety of pilots because of the pilot ladder. So, and pilot ladder is something which is very globally existed. It is on all ships, whether ship is an Indian ship or European
Yeah,
ship or
lots
any
of
ship.
accidents are taking place of lately because of the substandard pilot ladder or not following the rules regulations as per the mandatory, requirements.
Absolutely. I mean, you have hit it bang on the head. So what we did is around that time, it gave me a very structured thinking as an organization. When you institutionalize something, like institutionalize the pilot well-being or safety and security of pilots, then you need to really think up onto the all aspects of pilot ladder, not only of rigging pilot ladder or the supply of a compliant pilot ladder. Then we went into the manufacturing process. Who manufactures pilot ladders? How do the fake pilot ladders come? How do the fake certificates come onto the line? Then the usage of pilot ladder. There was no point. There was enough complaints started coming because since I was taking efforts in understanding the pilotage and pilot scenario and their life and their do's and don'ts and their treatments in the port and things like that, a lot of complaints started coming to me as well. And I'm very thankful to this pilot community, though they are very fragmented. They are situated in all ports of India. We have about 500 plus pilots, and they are on all ports. Somebody is 15 numbers at one port. Somebody is only 5 in numbers in other port, like port of Tuticorin. So they started giving me suggestions, and suggestions come plenty. But then you, as an association, as an institution, you got to come out with solutions and take positive steps. Because one thing I had realized then, if I do some positive work, recognition comes. People come to join you. So I started doing this, kind of a training for the crew and the cadets in the MTIs. I mean, to my surprise, I'm telling you, most of the
Mm-hmm.
MTIs, I must have spoken to those days in 2019-20 about, 50 plus MTIs in India. Most of them, 90% of them did not have a pilot ladder. Forget learning about pilot ladder, seeing pilot ladder, talking about its safety and things like that. So couldn't really comprehend that. So I said, okay, I will do a training myself. So I got one, two pilots on board and started doing training. We did about training of some 5,000 plus cadets, while joining ship. Then I said, okay, let's move on to the next level. Then we requested some shipping companies. Can we brief your, joining crew? Never mind, we will do 12 briefings a week if you want on online. I mean, Sever Island Shipping was one of the companies which agreed first. MSC agreed, MTM. I mean, there are many companies which came forward. Captain, please do it for all joining crew. So there were 10, 12 joining crew, ABs, OS, bosun, chief officer, master. So I said, okay, let me brief them. So we had one pilot. I had one pilot with me. So we should do both of us conduct a session, tell them how the important pilot data was. And my thing only was that if I really have one pilot ladder compliantly rigged and properly secured, I am saving one life. I am saving one life on one ship. I mean, the ship will go to maybe 10, 15 ports in next 6 months. When this chief officer is there, he's understood the seriousness of it. So idea was to put the seriousness in them. A lot of companies liked it. We said we move on to the next level. So next level was again manufacturing of pilot ladder. Well, I went into the PTR Holland and things like that companies. How do they manufacture pilot ladder? How do the fake ladders come from Alang in Bhavnagar when the shipbreakage takes place? How the fake certificates are made? We went on after with the class societies. Then I realized that alone AMPA cannot do much of an impact in this sector. There's society called Classic Society. So, and there's also MOU. So we started writing to MOUs vigorously on the CICs for the PSC inspections of pilot ladder. To my surprise, I'm telling you, see, so how ignorant is the world? We have a man on the ladder all the time. And I'm sure if I go for statistics, there is a man climbing a pilot ladder every minute in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Every
Yes.
minute there's a man climbing on the pilot ladder. So we have a life which is in danger every minute. But the last CIC campaign on the PSC inspections by MOU was done in 2017 by Riyadh MOU.
Okay.
So we wrote a congratulation letter to them. We got the reply back from them, and that reply we told everybody, forwarded to all MOUs in the world. And as a president of our association, I want to tell these people, I mean, when you form an association, as a president of association, you can do a lot of power to communicate with the world. So I was fearless in communicating with anybody in IMO. I could pick up a phone and talk to. I have spoken to Kaita maybe at least 8 to 9 times during my presidency. Why? Because that gives you power of being association. IMPA, of course, is a very big organization in UK, in London. They are doing a lot of jobs. But we were not small. I said, yeah, I mean, why not IMPA? So recently, when there was an IMO conference, we sent our suggestions to European Association of Pilots. And in NACR, those suggestions were read out loud and clear as coming from IMPA. So, what I'm trying to say that there is a lot of work to be done, a lot of impact one can make if you have a passion, if you have a zeal, if you have enthusiasm, and then to our kind of a small maritime world, we need to do it selflessly. That doesn't happen by many people in our industry. For some, I mean, why I regard you in a very high respect, because you are doing that kind of selfless service of introducing people. People will see these videos, probably get inspired and say, yes, yeah, I want to become like that. During our time, we had nobody to look up to. We only knew there was Captain T.K. Joseph, there was Captain Rivari. But
Yes.
I really
He was
don't know
a
how they have
messiah.
become.
Captain Joseph had been a messiah for all of us.
But we
He
did
had been
not
a
really
messiah.
know how they have become that how they have come to that position, what ships he has sailed on. So we didn't have that kind of information. So career path is something which you don't have for people to study. With regard to pilot training, yes, I am been struggling to, I mean, really striving to do this with the IPA. That's how I became consultant with IPA, because I wanted to bring it on table that, we must have a structured training for our pilots as maritime professionals. Because these pilots finally take a position as harbor masters, as a deputy conservators in the port. So they have a major role to play ahead in their career as a port management professional. You go anywhere in the world and see a port professional regarded so high, he's so knowledgeable, he's an industry guy, you know. And we, because we don't give them any training and just give that age-old, methodological training of learning on ships under a senior pilot, that is so age-old thing for the millennials to learn. So we have to understand also one thing: it's not me and you who are learning now. The learners today are
So have
millennials.
you, besides what I understand from your the last thing what you have been narrating, one is you have been looking after the safe embarkation or disembarkation of the pilot by looking or inspecting or getting the legitimate certification, as well as correct genuine pilot ladders on board the ship, or getting it passed on to the vendor, so no fake pilot ladder etc shall be sent on board. That is number one, what I understand. Number two, as far as the AIMPA is concerned, from the training perspective, what all things you have been catering to as far as the younger pilots are concerned?
See, we want to set up under the IPA, a good pilot training institute in India, which will cater to the entire South Asia. Why? Because and this training institute has to be a modern one, like what is there in France and in Australia and US, like a manned scale model, kind of training. Indian Navy has offered us a land in Goa to do it for them. Because we don't have any, and our masters of TK tankers and other companies like even Maersk masters, Indian masters, they go to Australia or UK to learn this because it's a very important thing. People will not know the importance of this unless they have done it themselves. It is not, it is a different matter to learn on a ship, and it is a different matter to learn on a scale model as to how the maneuvering takes place. You know, because it's not only a today's world, it's not only a simulation world. You have to give that look and feel and all those factors in learning. Because we are dealing with millennials. Today the master is about 35, 32-year old. He is already a millennial. He's born in 1990 and later on. So they are all millennials. Soon, in 5, 6 years' time, you will have Gen Z coming on board vessel as the cadets and as the students. So what are you going to teach them? Same age-old method of your bookish kind of theoretical knowledge? It's not going to go down their path. And this is how tier one city people are not ready to join merchant navy. Recently one of the seminars, somebody asked this question. Well, we have to see why the cadets are not joining merchant navy. I said, what are you offering cadets? What are we offering cadets? You look at the other industry offering cadets. So you have to go to tier 2 and tier 3 city. Basically, by saying going to tier 2 and tier 3 cities for merchant navy cadets, engineering or deck, you are trying to say that the people who do not have knowledge about the shipping, call them in shipping. So it's like body shopping. Like you bring workers from Andhra Pradesh in villages. They don't know what workers they are for. They just come and start working with others and see what others are doing.
So
We are not
basically,
creating a professional.
grooming of the pilots, besides the simulator, as what you spoke about, the man model course, I also had done way back when I was sailing with Mobile. So that sort of infrastructure you're planning to create, as what you said, Indian Navy has also offered you a piece of land in Goa.
Correct. So we are looking at
Okay.
that either in Mumbai port or maybe in Goa. It will be done in next 1 year's time, the procurement process and all that. But that one thing which I want to really do that, and a kind of a structured, training for pilots. And I know, of course, after a lot of fighting and things that we started one small course of 2 weeks of course with IMU of pilot training. So every pilot now that it does syllabus is done by AMPA, and now every pilot who joins the port has been asked to do that 2 weeks course in IMU Chennai. So that is one thing, one step ahead. Apart from the what I'm pushing to get a full scale pilot institute, which is much required in this part of the world. So let us see. I've been after IPA, and Mr. Jalota has really commendably has given me a lot of support on this issue. So I hope to have it done in 1 year's time.
I have been, as we speak, taking classes for masters all around the world on hydrodynamic ship handling STS operations. I still do STS ops of Calcutta sometimes whenever I get a stint. But what my understanding is, like, besides being the bookish knowledge, it is the practicality or the practical knowledge of the seamanship, which is somewhere down the line has, depleted, if I say so correctly, without prejudice. What I have seen with my own little experience is that most of the younger masters who, as you said, are promoted to master at the age of 30, 12, 32, or whatever it is, with the ECDIS coming in this, of course, ECDIS certainly is a boon, but many a times it is construed as a video game kind of thing. So that is where you do not take that or do not get the advantage of getting that feel by all by yourselves because you're dependent upon the electronic aids, but you do not have any, you have not foreseen or you do not have any kind of a clear vision as far as your actual maneuvering or the ship handling techniques are concerned.
Absolutely right. I echo your voice, and I echo your concern as well. I'm also a marine warranty surveyor, and I'm also a maritime safety inspector. So one of the audits that I have devised myself, which I want to go commercial with, which I have already been with 3 companies, but I want to people to accept it widely, is a 8-module navigational audit course. Where the auditor goes on board, he doesn't just see the navigational records, or doesn't just sail with the vessel for 3 days or 4 days and observe the team working, but he collects the evidences of the certain practices which can be detrimental in future course of navigation. So I use a camera, kind of a GoPro camera, which is a magnetic sticking camera of the bulkhead, to see. I'm not joking. My statistics show me that third officer, second officer, chief officer, worst of all, chief officer's watch, the looking out of window time is not even 18%. That means the 4 hours of watch, the duty officer is looking only 18% of his time outside the window. Just think about it. All the
You
time he's
know,
looking at the
as I
radar,
told you, I
he's in
am
the chart
also on
room.
quite a few companies' panel to conduct the navigation assessment and mentoring. You will be surprised, Captain Gajanan, that when I ask them what is your primary means of lookout wide rule number 5, gold reg rule number 5, bang comes the answer. In fact, from the senior officers, sir, the primary means of lookout is egg disc. I said that is what I'm saying. It is many a times very ridiculous, very ridiculous. And as we speak, I have also started auditing the vessels which are entering into the Suez Canal with the comprehensive passage planning and all that. Of course, everything online where the vessel has got a good connectivity of the internet on board. But many ridiculous things are there. Like, for example, when I did way back uh, about 20 odd years ago, my mooring master's course in Houston. And when thereafter, I had written a book on hydrodynamics also. But I also start teaching, every month I get 4 or 5 groups in a group of 15 to 18 masters all around the world on the virtual platform. I sometimes, become very much surprised. In fact, when I ask, like, many a times a bit of hypothesis, when I ask the masters, the senior masters I'm talking about, I say, listen, Captain, you are on a coastal passage of, let's say, 24 nautical miles off coast, and you have, let's say, hypothetically, you have got a blackout. Of course, ECDISC has got a UPS, which is SOLAS mandatory requirement. But for some reason, when you get your full electricity or the power back, because of some malfunction of your IC in the egg disk, because it's a computer by itself. And let's say, hypothetically, I put this hypothesis that now your both master and slave egg disks are on bump, finished. And you do not have paper chart. You are on a coastal passage. Okay. What will you do? You know the answers I get, Captain Gajanan? Oh, I will keep proceeding. I said, Captain, you're blind now. How are you proceeding? Because you don't have charts now. So what will you do? Somebody says, oh, I'll ask the VTS to give me an anchor location. I said, Captain, come on. The VTS guy may be a radio officer who's sitting governing the VTS. Okay, he may give you a position somewhere on the shoal for which he's not responsible. You're not indemnified. These kind of things they come, and that is the reason I've uploaded a video that what should the master do in case this sort of situation comes. Another one I'll give you.
Absolutely.
When I asked the masters or senior officers that okay, how do you take the LOP on the ECDIS? They say okay, bearing, range, etc., etc. The second question I asked, okay, very good. You're taking the LOP so far, but now your gyro is gone, it's kaput. Then he says, I've got two gyro. I said, takes both gyro is gone. Now, how will you plot the LOP? Bang. No, sir, we cannot do it.
Yeah.
Cannot do it. Then you give them another thing saying, okay, give them a prompt. Look, man, you have got a radar which is working. You have a
Exactly.
VRM which is working. You can take
Exactly.
3 or 4 ranges and plot them. Oh, yes, we can. Then I gave another lacuna. I said, okay, Captain, now your VRM has got an error. Now what you do? Again, blank. Now I cannot take the LOP. Then I tell them, listen, you have a range, you superimpose your VRM on the range ring, you get
Exactly. You
the
know the
error
error.
on that particular range and add up because on the ECDIS, when you feed, you just feed the figures. So what I'm trying to say is that
Apply the
the
error. Yeah.
practical knowledge of seamanship has gone across the fence. As what you rightly said, 18% of the time, the rule number 5 lookouts are being maintained. So coming from there, Captain Gajanan Saab, when you talk about the simulators and all those things, how do you recoup for the practical knowledge of the seamanship as far as your AIMPA or the pilot or the trainings what you have been, imparting so far?
See, it's very important aspect is to, one thing we have to teach our mariners now is the situational awareness. When we go to somebody's house, what we do? We ring the bell. Yeah. When somebody's trying
Yes.
is opening the door, simple thing. I'm just giving a very practical. We go and ring the bell. When we ring the bell,
Hmm.
we look around. Arey, he's got a plant here. He's got a sandals he put outside. We remove our
Hmm.
sandals outside. We look right
Hmm.
side. Who's staying here? Then we go inside the house. See how the atmosphere in the house is. Who's sitting on sofa? The elderly person, his father may be sitting there. You say hello to him. Situational awareness is very important. Not only on ship. Most of the pilots, most of the captains, most of the navigating officers taking over watches. One thing I have found, they have just not got aware of what is happening around them. They just jump into a watch as if it is a mechanical muscle memory kind of stuff, and he starts taking over a watch. That's not done. He needs to
Hmm.
understand the situation not only on his own bridge and position of people and lookouts and things like that. He also needs to understand what other vessels are doing in the vicinity of, immediately 3 miles, 6 miles, 9 miles, 12 miles, what the ETAs are, what DR positions are. So this is a practical regime which needs to be superimposed. This is mental thing. Then he has to make something, another out of the box solution. I always tell these officers, you do a mind mapping. How is your 4 hours of watch going to go? Think. What all things are you going to encounter? If it's a coastal voyage, are you going to encounter any shallow patches, navigation, fishing traffic, any lights, any lighthouses, you mind map your 4 hours, 6 hours of watch, and then you think how I'm going to do. Situational awareness, SA, and MP, mind mapping are the very essential tools which have to be incorporated in their genes, I would say. So these, kind of things, if they're taught early in life as a cadets, we are still in the primitive kind of a stuff of, training cadets of not these things, but training care of something else. And thinking the simulator will take care of it. He will go to a simulation course, maybe a ship handling simulator course, and he'll be all right. Liquid handling simulator course, and it will be all right. So even cargo work, even when I do cargo work, audits, the pre-wedding audits for some tankers, I tell them, have you really mind map your entire cargo plan? A cargo plan, computer has given, office has given, terminal has given. That is different. How have you mind mapped it? How have you said that, okay, I need to open these 8 valves here, 3 valves here, ensure that another 6 valves are closed? How are you going to mind map this? How are you going to have people doing these jobs? When? What time? Mind map it so it execution becomes easier. And mind mapping is a very important and kind of a effective tool, for the practical execution of jobs. That is one thing, we are. So when we start the Institute of Pilots, Pilot Training Institute, PTI, in India, I would definitely be requiring your help, or other people's help as well, because we have to take this to a very experienced level, because we are going to cater something like, like they say in G20 terms, global south, you know so global south is something is in my mind, to do with the entire South Asia's maritime crowd, where Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, even in some part of Australia, and we can give them very cost-effective solution, being in India, with the price of land and with the price of equipment and resources that we have. So I mean, this kind of courses, they cost abroad maybe something like 18, 19, 20 lakhs. So we are trying to fit this something in 7, 8 lakhs rupees. And of course, the Cochin shipyard also has agreed to help us with the man scale model and things like that at a good discounted rate, because being, and again, I want to have those man scale model registered with the flag authorities. I mean, Indian flag, of course. So they have identity. They are not just objects which are being used. Have a grandiose plan. Let's see how it goes through IPA and everybody has Ministry of Shipping. Everybody has appreciated the idea. Everybody has said to go ahead. I would definitely require industry
I
support.
wish you all the very best because it's basically the concept which sells. It's the
Exactly.
conceptual thing which sells, provided if we have the vision and the mission for that, of course.
Exactly.
Now, Captain Karanjikar Saab, other thing which occurs to me, because I have been seeing you on a lot of social media, you have been striving or trying to fight it out for the basic rights of a seafarer, be it the shore leave or mental health, etc. Uh, During this time, I've seen that you have been through, I think, with Captain Lotus Chadna on many podium, and you have, being the front runner, and which certainly has been very much appreciated. All your, the steps you have taken and all the efforts you have been making to get the things, to get the ball rolling. Because during my one of the last interview when we had Sri Amitabh Kumar, our ex-DG shipping, I did put the same question onto him. I did mention to him about you. Of course, he knows you well. Of course, I'm aware of it. But he also could not give a very, satisfactory answer. So, is there somewhere down the line, if we talk about the basic human rights of a seafarer, being an Indian seafarer, if his vessel comes or arrives at any of the Indian ports, is he or she still having a kind of a problem in stepping ashore as far as the shore leave is concerned? Maybe because of ISPS or any other implications?
See, the your straight answer on this question is the entire data, which is very complicated in India. Because since there is no SOP in place, or there is no process in place from immigration, from FRRO, or from the port side, so the entire thing is still in shambles. If the immigration officer feels to board the vessel at 6 in the evening, he will board. Otherwise, he will tell the agent, now we are closed. Please go back and come back tomorrow morning. So he has to come back tomorrow morning for the show passes. Some of the ships, of course, the influential agent, good agents having good rapport with the immigration. Maybe the good rapport is inverted commas. I don't know what it means in their kind of a relationship. But those agents, the immigration officer, without boarding a vessel, he gives them a passes at 9 p.m. in the night for the master to go home, because he's from Bombay. So what I'm trying to say in here is that the data what we have at the moment is very complicated. It was Sunday morning. It was one fine Sunday morning when somebody called from, Mumbai Port Trust, a vessel which berth, and said, "Sir, we were at the anchorage for 35 days, and we have come ashore now. We have come here now, and they are not giving us shore leave." So I said, "Why?" And this happened recently in February. I mean, this year. I said, "Shore leave should be granted now. The COVID is gone out of the window." I mean, WHO has declared in September 2022 that the COVID is no more pandemic. So what are we waiting for? So naturally my first call was to the chairman of Mumbai Port Trust, since I know him very well. So I called him, "Sir, this is what it is." He said, "Let me find out and get back to you, Gajanan. Don't worry." So he really found out and said, yeah, there is some issue with this, but I will get it sorted out." Then that prompted me to ask other vessels and other ports. So I got in touch with few agents. I said, "What is happening here? Why the shore leave is still not granted?" Somebody told me in Calcutta that the shore leave still is granted to be granted by PHO, which was a thing during the COVID time, because PHO would decide after the PCR test and RT-PCR tests and things like that whether shore leave can be
Mm-hmm.
given to the crew or not, depending on the vessel's last port of call and quarantine period and all that. I said, that is all gone out of the window now. Why are we following that? "Sir, nobody amended circular." Again, I went back to the IPA. Again, Mr. Jalota was the chairman, he's chairman of IPA, requested him. But then I realized one thing, that only me and few of us are making noise about it, and nobody else is interested. So we said, "How many of you are willing to come on the roads?" That one thing I have found in shipping, that nobody wants to fight. I tell you, my own days in 1995, I was in LBS and I was made a student activity forum president. I don't know what it meant that time, because we used to have one magazine. Captain Khatri used to be in charge of the magazine those days. And we used to publish one small magazine about 13, 14, 15 pages, magazine in LBS college. And SA president is supposed to be the editor of the magazine. And chief editor is one of the faculty members, Captain Khatri was there. So I remember one fine day, they increased the hostel fees from 500 to 2,000. Mr. Sohan Singh was there as rector, and he
Uh-huh.
comes and puts
Mm-hmm.
up a notice there. And I said, "Why?" He said, "This is what it is for today onwards. 500 is too less, boss. You don't get a room anywhere." I said, "But there has to be a process of increase of fees, yeah. This is a government college. This is not something which is roadside, pan stall who wants to sell up things like that." So I went to Captain Rivari that time. I still remember. My voice is, I mean, as it is loud and it is, So I went to Captain Rivari and I told him in loud voice, "Sir, this is not done." I am telling you, Captain Rivari got up from his chair and he turned around his table. When he was turning around, half the people who were behind me ran out, ran out of the door. They all went away and I was alone standing there. And he said, "You are right. I will tell Mr. Sohan Singh to revisit the issue and issue a proper notice, and we will increase next month." I said, "Sir, whatever it is, fine, but there has to be a process followed. You
Can't be
need to give
300
visas."
times, 300%. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is what I realized in shore leave time. And this time I said, no, unless there's a full 100% support of seafarers who are willing to come on the roads and stand in front of DG Shipping Office or Office of Mumbai Port Trust, we will not take up this matter. So the next thought came in my mind to start a Dharna group. All people call me, "Arey, Dharna mat bolo yaar. Don't say Dharna." I said, "Why not? Medical professional doctors, noble profession in the world, save lives day in, day out. They can go on Dharna. The firefighters can go on Dharna. The civilian contractors can go on Dharna. CAs go on Dharna. Everybody goes on Dharna. Merchant Navy person doesn't want to go. Why? But he don't want to stand on the road. He thinks it's out of the blue, out of the world. Bullshit. Sorry." So I told him, "Please come." So I said, I declared the date. I said, "I want to see everybody out there." Anyway, as the luck would have it, minister came to Mumbai, and one of our committee members, Kedar Chaudhary, he knew minister very well, so he took us to minister. Shipaji Nayak, we told him, Shipaji Nayak being from government himself and a state minister for shipping, he assured us that I will close the issue in 10 days time. Don't make dharna, please. I said, "Sir, all taken as per your words. We will not do dharna." But I told him that time also, my main idea of dharna is not to protest against government offices, is to have my brotherhood together with me, which has not been happening in Bachchan Navy. People are not been fighting for their own rights. See, CBAs are being discussed. This is a major, major classic case of wages revision. It has been discussed by association. No seafarer involved anywhere. I don't see any protest from seafarers. I don't see any demand from seafarers. It just, some of the associations will go discuss the shipping
Is it
associations.
that you're also experiencing some problem in the bureaucracy machinery, Captain Gajanan?
See, bureaucracy machinery will always have an issue. I am telling you, I've been working with the bureaucracy now for last 7, 8 years. What lacks in them is not the attitude. What lacks in them is domain knowledge. I've been in so many committees of think tank and Ministry of Shipping and things like that. Whenever I opened my mouth with a lot of knowledge, people have told me, show me the door. And I'm sure, I'm telling you, I mean, I was not called for the next meeting also, because you pour in a lot of knowledge on table. So we need to understand that everybody is scared of domain knowledge. They are all very good managers. They are very good administrators. So bureaucracy will listen to you as long as you have not jeopardizing their position. So I'm very thankful. I learned this trick very fast in 2018 when I was to deal with the Ministry of Shipping then for coastal shipping. And to tell you very frankly, I got along with most of the shipping secretaries and joint secretaries very well, and some of them became my good friends as well. So I knew what they would want at particular point in time and how to push my domain knowledge ahead. So bureaucracy problem will always remain because they are the people who are like on a musical chair. He comes sit for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years maximum as secretary or joint secretary, you know, or a port secretary and goes away to the other department. So they are only concerned about the revenue and things like that. So we have to be
Hmm.
we have to be steady and on the maritime professional part and give them the right information and learn to work with them. I
But
mean, one thing.
how much have you achieved so far as far as the seafarer's mental health or promoting him to get his shore leave or for his basic rights? Have you
See,
come to some sort
starting
of
with
kind of conclusion so far?
yeah, starting with threatening with dharna. When we started, then we had to call all the ports and talk to all
Hmm.
all people in the port, all marine department people. Most of the ports did not even know whether they have shore leave or not, whether they grant it or not, whether the process in place or not. So we started collecting this data ourselves, started submitting to DE shipping, and fortunately to our luck, very dynamic and very calm and composed personality of DE shipping has come, Mr. Sham Jagannathan, and I tell you, he has got a lot of ears. He listens to the problems. He has got the solutions and very thoughtful kind of a leader. So he listened to us. He listened to our problems and said, okay, fine, let's work on it. But I'm telling you, at this point in time, we could achieve, a greater achievement that we could, go and knock the doors of Ministry of Home Affairs, which has never been done. We had in last 75 years the first maritime press conference on the issue, and that shook up Delhi a little bit. And of course, the personal contacts of mine also are there, which I had personally called Home Minister's, PS, and fed him with the information what we are doing with this. So Home Ministry got involved in this recently, as back 15 days back. We have received a letter from Home Ministry, and the Home Ministry has directed the shipping to issue a kind of a circular to all ports, major port, minor port, private ports, fishing harbors, everyone to relax the shore leave for Indian seafarers, because we told them in no uncertain terms that this is illegal. Indian passport holder landing on the Indian soil not being allowed to go home without a valid reason is illegal. You cannot
It
hold
certainly
somebody in
is.
captivity.
Indeed, it is. It is indeed.
So when these words are spoken in the corridors of Home Ministry in Delhi, it really shook up. I'm very happy that the Merchant Navy kind of a fraternity today has reached those corridors. Unless we bring that maritime on the everyday discussion, as it happens in some of the countries in the world, the maritime will not progress, because our country has got many other problems on priority to look after, like road infrastructure, poverty, gender balance, and safety and security of citizens, everything else. So maritime is going to take a backseat for next 20 years. It is up to us and our leadership in Merchant Navy. That is why I commend you well Why? Because you are doing your bit in bringing maritime in limelight. And I also want to take this maritime leadership forward. So it not only knocks the doors of Delhi corridors, but it opens the doors for maritime people, maritime leadership, and welcome. Because you see, we are the major contributors of economy. Nobody
See,
is
one thing is there why I thought of this particular podium is because, like, soldiers like you and there are many of our comrades who are doing such a good work to facilitate the merchant naval officers wherever it's legitimately required. But one thing did occur to me that, unless media speaks, nobody listens.
exactly.
So that
So
is the reason I brought us onto this podium. So basically, to hear from you, the horse's mouth, what all spade work you had been doing, what all difficulties you have been encountering,
sir,
how to basically,
I tell you very
yes, sir.
frankly, this is only one seafarer's right I have taken. Now, surely there are 15 rights I have jolted down with the exact program. It'll take 10 years for us to go on this SRC, Seafarers Rights Committee, to take these issues. I
Hmm.
am going to tell you, the next 10 years, shipping will be on an improvement curve because all the department, all the stakeholders are telling a right to education. Are seafarers getting right education? No, no. So, but who is going to scrutinize this? Who has got a time to do this? So, this has to be a social, absolutely social kind of a effort to not only audit MTI, not only get the surveys done by students as to how what education they get, but again, knock doors, open the doors of skill development ministry. I recently met Maharashtra skill development minister in one of the programs where I was telling him about the same thing about Maharashtra maritime policy development. I'm thankful to DCM that he has taken me on a committee to develop the Maharashtra maritime policy. But that's not enough. Unless we make changes, we should not rest. So Vivekananda always marks my mind with this, saying that arise and stop not until the goal is reached. So, so this is how So right to training, right to employment. You see this once we do this scrutiny of right to employment of seafarers, I'm telling you, all your fake agents, police stations, ship owners, ship managers are going to be scrutinized because now we ask these questions to the port. I'm telling you, after we started this movement of shore leave, earlier there was zero. No port was giving shore leave except few ports in India. I'm telling you, within 5 days, all major ports opened shore leave. Now only 13 minor ports are not giving shore leave as of yesterday evening report. So I'm going to have tomorrow we have requested DG for a meeting. DG has been very kind enough to hear this thing, and he has called a meeting of all stakeholders in Bombay tomorrow. 100 plus
Hmm.
people are attending. And SRC will lead the meeting and say as to what the situation today is and what we need to do. We have a complete plan of five-point agenda as to solve this issue, once and for all, including SOP, including processes, including online procedures, also including the complete electronic exchange information between the master agent and the port under the port
So,
community system what they have.
so you have achieved somewhere down the line to go up the rank, and you see the prospects are quite favorable as far as this
Absolutely,
agenda is
absolutely.
concerned. Regarding the MTI, yes, I also can understand because before I used to be a visiting faculty, but then I saw so many malpractices which are taking place. I refrained going from there into there. Like, for example, I know one of our colleagues is also trying to help the seafarers, especially the menial ranks. I'm saying without prejudice, of course, all of us are equally important. That is the OS. There is so much of cannibalization as far as their
Absolutely, sir.
hiring and getting them misled. Uh, First, their parents land up spending so many lakhs rupees to get their sons into the in merchant navy, being in OS, and thereafter there are a lot of malpractices which are being followed by many MTIs in conglomeration with few companies. I don't want to name them, And that is where, which is bringing a very bad and sad name to our fraternities.
Absolutely, sir. I
So,
mean, I get at least 2 calls a day on some cheating case, somebody agent case, or some institution asking money, some institution
mhm,
asking placement fees. Because I'm also a advisor. I tell you a very good incident. I mean, it should go on air as well. I am also advisor to radio. Radio is an
mhm,
organization which is formed under Ministry of External Affairs. This is called as a rescuing every distressed Indians overseas. And radio has been involved in last 5 years, rescuing all distressed seafarers. I mean, seafarers as well as Indian citizens. A recent case has been the Ukraine students. They rescued about 10 from Russia, from Ukraine, Indian students.
mhm,
So my number is there with the website, and I'm looking after the global seafarers wing for them. So it
mhm,
has put me in a good light because it has put me in a contact with all the embassies all over the world, all the ambassadors all over the world, all the Indian attaches, which are the execution officers in the Indian embassies all over the world, and also some volunteers in some most part of the world, like Russia, Ukraine, Poland, Malaysia, Indonesia. So I'm working on a case recently on an Indonesian, one of the vessels grounded, where this chief officer, chief engineer, and master has been held in captivity for last 7 months. 2 days back, I spoke to the Indian ambassador in Indonesia, in Jakarta, asking him what our whereabouts are. Even DG Shipping is working on this. So what I'm going to tell you, I got a call one day, you know, and from one of the ports in UAE. I was around that port. So I got a call and somebody said, "Sir, we are in distress. We have not got a food, this thing, that thing." I said, "Oh, where is it?" So he told me so and so port. So I turned my car around. I went. I had a pass of entry in the port. I went to the port. I went to a tugboat. I went and I spoke to these guys. I said, "What happened?"
mhm.
So I showed my radio card to them and I told them this is what it is. I mean, the master somehow heard of me. She said, "Please come, sir, let's have coffee." I said, "Coffee I will have, but what about these two boys? They have complained about that they are not mentally well and things like that." He said, "No, they have just joined about 1-2 months back and they are not feeling well." So I called those boys, "Come, call them on deck. Tugboat ka deck kitna choda hota hai. Call them all there. Don't know what happened, guys." He said, "No, sir, we just joined and this food is like that and this cookies from South India and he's making this every day, this putting that imli in the food and this and that." So I said, this is situation for you. है ना? So I had to really pinch their ears and tell them, idiots, don't, you are the guys who are putting the profession down. You're not fit, you're not carved out to be at sea. You can be sitting in you can work as a worker in the warehouse, in maybe some
Mhm.
part of Lucknow or Kanpur or whatever it is, in UP or in Maharashtra for that matter as well. If you want to be at sea, you have to be a different personality altogether. So you have to also, and these guys were registering this case as a mental health case. Next minute, I'm telling you, I got off the ship. I was driving out. I got a call from Liberia, Flag State, saying, "Sir, there's some mental illness case in our ship." I said, "No, there's no mental illness case. Please don't talk about mental illness. It's a very, very easy word to speak these days. I said, your
I
boys are
agree
not
because
fit."
you can't clap with one hand, you need both the hands to clap.
Absolutely.
There has been lots of problem with the probably younger generation, as what you said, they were born in millennium, part of this thing, so they have not seen the tough life. They've already, perceived the sea life as a rosy, because it has never been a bed of roses. It has always been bed of thorns. However, I agree that these kind of things what you just narrated are also there, which has been not taken very well, because it's that is where the whole the infrastructure machinery, like you said, you got a call from Liberia Flag State. They also become prejudiced that okay, this must be a very silly problem for which somebody has construed this as a mental health problem, which shall not be taken into existence, as far as what I understand.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is how the industry needs to really act. And to
Hmm.
your second question on mental health and mental illness, see, as I said, this is a word of, was most uttered word today. If you see in merchant navy, is mental health, mental illness. I mean, I don't know whether
Hmm.
we didn't have minds. I always speak whether I didn't know whether going by the rule today, the people who sailed with me had no mind, I believe. we
Yeah,
we
yeah,
work
yeah.
mindlessly. I said it is not that. It is all the communication which has basically stopped on board vessel, and the communication, a virtual one, which has increased due to internet presence and things like that. But I want to come to the root cause of this. I've been working on it, and I wrote a recently article also on this, that they need to institutionalize the exact mental health and well-being issues of seafarers. How we would be able to tackle them at the beginning or outset of, people are saying that whether we will tell them that this is a tough life, don't join. You know, I remember in 2007 or 2008, I did a Maharashtra tour of 5 cities under the Times of India that time, of career guidance. You know, and I used to go to the colleges and schools, and I went to Kolhapur and Satara, and I also did one program in
Hmm.
Pune, of course, with Nasik, interiors of Maharashtra, of giving career guidance on merchant navy. So when I used to come back to hotel, I used to have so many parents coming after the lecture meeting me. Sir, we want to put our son in merchant navy. What we should do? I should tell them one single thing: make him street smart. Make him street smart. Stop dropping him to the tuitions, 11th, 12th. Please send him to market to buy vegetables. Send him to market to buy groceries. Let him handle his own problem. Let him make friends. Let him talk to his friends. Let him communicate. Let him not be a lone
See,
kind of a person.
the physical toughness may be there in the young lads, but the mental toughness is not there. It is all starting from their curriculum, from the schooling till they come to a professional thing. Like for example, I know many a times things are crossed across the line. Like for example, if we recall our school days, if there is, suppose if I have not done homework or something, the teacher will give me a punishment, or he'll spank on my hand the scale,
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
maybe give me one slap. But today it is taken as against human right, and that is where psychologically the child becomes adaptive, and he or she is not, many of them do not have that adaptability to take the challenge existingly when you talk about a tough profession like us. So that is a big challenge. And when you take this at a higher level, or take a from a different quantum, we will we will come to the same goal, that when we talk about even our onboard mariners, like if I talk about my kind of journey, I started in 79 from a cadet ship point of view. And at that point in time, at least I recall that for 6 months, the bridge was barred for you to even keep a
Exactly.
lookout. After 6 months, you will be given the liberty that now you can keep the lookout only from the wing. Another 4 months pass, that's when you get the opportunity to go into the bridge inside. And that's where you have that zeal and quest and the zest to learn more what you have been given. But contrary to that, when we talk about our new generation mariners, they have been served everything on the platter.
Exactly.
Good old days when you tell the cadet to go down the very pulley ladder and do this painting and all that. Today, if you tell something to a cadet who's physically strong but not mentally, he will take it as like this is something against my human rights or some sort of thing. So
Absolutely.
that is where it is. Spare the rod, spoil the child. That's what
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
understand. So I
Absolutely.
believe you have a jack dash kind of thing. One is to fight it out for a genuine cause, like what you have been doing for the shore leave, but then many a times silly thing comes, like for the food, that imli problem, tamarind problem. This is very silly to talk about. So that is where one has to basically weigh the pros and cons. In other words, that our industry shall not come uh, into a kind of a domain where people take it with a negativity. That's what is my perception. So,
Absolutely.
Gajanan Saab, it has been a pleasure talking to you for some time, and I wish you all the best. And I believe your new agendas, what you're working about, you've already mentioned. You're doing a great work. Keep your flag hoisted all the time, and we all are there to support you, and we are there to compliment to you and for all your achievements. And I wish you again all the best. God bless. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much. And I'm really proud to be a part of this. And I'm sure that this will go everywhere so people get inspired. You are doing a great human service to the industry by really, telecasting, broadcasting this. And we need to bring the maritime issues on the national forefront. That's my only quest. In my next 2 years agenda is to get the doors in Delhi open for the CMMI, EMPA, and this Seafarers Rights Committee. Not on a negative way. I'm also speaking in the Global Maritime India Summit, and the topic which I've chosen for myself was not to complain the grievance about there are 120 problems we have in seafarers world. We're not going to tell that to the world. We're going to solve it ourselves with the others' help. But I wanted to talk on a topic of empowering nation as to how seafarers are empowered nation and in the national economy and global sustainability. Because we bring in $8 billion a year on seafarers remittances that goes just without notice by anybody. 64,000
Yes, yes.
crores today come in India, rupees. So they just go unnoticed by anybody else, and 16,000, 15,000 crores rupees are given to the farmers. So this thing, that thing becomes a national headline. So idea is not to, but not to skip the boat of bringing it to the forefront. And also on global sustainability, the seafarers are the front runners. All decarbonization of shipping and things like that, IMO goals are being fulfilled by them. So I'll be speaking about them because to bring in the positive side of merchant navy and the mercantile marine in front of the Delhi who's and who is going to attend the seminar. Skill Development Minister Dharmendra Pradhan is going to be there himself listening to the talk. So I'm more excited to deliver a speech on 19th of October in Bombay.
I wish you all the very best. Keep the good work up, Captain Gajanan Saab. Wish you all the best. God bless. Stay safe.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.